Welcome to Spirit of Truth. I told you in a past video that maybe I would go more into who are the different factions and groups and people here involved, and so that's what this video is going to be about. And I want to talk more about who are the people here and why are they here and how do you know who's who. So like I said before, there's good guys and there's bad guys, and there's lots of different groups of good guys and lots of different groups of bad guys. And the reason I wanted to talk about who's here is because who is here actually is a factor that is causing some, I don't know, I guess I would say infighting. So I thought that I would bring this up because the more people who know what's going on, the less this will happen. Let me tell you how just who's here on its own creates a little conflict. So picture it if it were like there was some kind of an emergency, like a disaster or something, and you have disaster teams come in, right? So you may have one team that are like volunteer ministers that are just there to aid and comfort. And then you may have other groups that, you know, are just like paramedics, and they are just there to, you know, to bandage the wounded and assess the wounded. And then you may have police there, and it's their job to like keep away the crowd so that the paramedics can do their job. So if you went to a policeman because you needed your hand bandaged, he may just see you walking up and not notice the hand and tell you, get back, back away. And you may think, wow, you know, these people aren't here to help. They're terrible and they're mean and they treat the wounded awful. Well, you know, it's not that that officer was trying to treat them awful. It's just that it's his job to keep the scene clear, and maybe he missed something or whatever. But you get the point, right? Like, you got to go to the right person for the right thing. And the fact that there's all these different groups that do different jobs and different things can create confusion for people because they think, well, everybody that showed up is mean and just tells people get back and threatens them. Well, no, that's not true, because if you went to the paramedic with your hand, he would have, you know, like bandaged it up, right? So we can get the wrong idea sometimes just by somebody's reaction to us, or our approach to them maybe isn't the right approach for whatever that person is there for. So what I'm going to suggest to you is that there's a lot of different people here from a lot of different places right now. There are people here for different reasons. Some people are here to help, some are here to heal, some are here not for the people, but for the planet itself. Some are just observers, so you can't get them interested really in anything. They just are very detached to it all, but they watch it all. You know, others are very invested in what happens. And so the difference is who they are, what they came here for, and what they're doing here. That makes a difference in what their attitude toward whatever is going on is going to be. There are angelic groups here. I know there's a lot of angels. I always find it funny when there's programs on TV talking about, you know, are there aliens walking among us? Yeah. Yeah, they are. But it's okay because they have been for a long time. And there may be some bad ones here that are doing some things and we need to handle them, but that, that doesn't mean you need to be creeped out or freaked out by all aliens. And about the angels and the ones that came to help. I don't know any angels that are really coming out publicly. There are a few that have come out in the past and talked about angels and made it seem as if they were angels, but I don't think any of them, number one, were, and I don't think, number two, that they ever said they were. And the ones that are here that are not admitting it. And funny enough, the reason there's not a lot of angels coming out, telling you that they're here to help, and the reason they only speak to some of us is because of the Christians, honestly. I know that sounds strange, that the angels would not reveal themselves because of the Christians, but honestly, it's because the Christians' attitudes are so bad and so ugly, and they don't feel it's the right time. They don't feel that they would even be listened to. So they're all struggling and looking for other ways to reach mankind with their messages, but they're not going to just come out and tell you who they are. Number one, the Christians are too pious and self-righteous and think they know everything, and they wouldn't be believed. They just would be mocked and called names, liar, deceiver, things like that. And so those guys are very hesitant to come out. Now, you do have some that are people that have worked with angels and they got confused, like an identification, like what do you call it when somebody like they identify with someone so heavily that they kind of believe they are them. So there's some here like that. And when we talked about my labs the other day, sometimes the MyLab people get confused because of the brainwashing and programming that's put on them, and they might say they're angels or some type of spiritual being, but it's mostly because of their brainwashing, like they're confused. And you can tell when you're dealing with these guys because they'll be the ones telling you they're saving the whole planet. Like they single-handedly have saved you all, or are in the process of saving you all, or are about to save you all, but it's like some sacrifice or thing that they've done for everybody, and it's a very kind of grandiose type of flow, you know what I mean? And the reason is these people are trying to help in their own way, but they've just had, all kinds of buggery done to their minds so that they get confused. And I promise you, anybody who, like, really did come from somewhere else, they're, even if they admit that, they're not going to have a tremendous ego. They're not going to be, I saved the whole world. I did this for you. I released you all. Everyone is now forgiven. Everybody is now no longer has contracts. I've freed you from the entire system all by myself. You're not gonna hear, that's not angels, and you're not gonna hear any angelic or spiritual types talking like that, because the ones that are actually doing things like that don't talk about it. They just do it. Yeah. I mean, those guys, they just do it. They just do their job. And they very much want to do their job and go home. They're not looking for fame. They're not, let's see, they're not looking for anything selfish. They want to do their jobs and go home. That's it. It's like really easy. Like, they really couldn't care less about all the things that men care about, because they have a much broader perspective. And so the ones that are really doing work are not going to be the ones that are telling you how great and wonderful they are and how they've released you all. There is no being whose face you will ever see or voice you will hear on this planet, probably, that is really doing that much impact. Usually the ones that make that much impact, they're just simply not telling you about it. I mean, they're just doing their work. And then you have people who are being abducted in these my labs that actually think they're being abducted by aliens, and it's actually my labs. And, Bluebeard mentioned his grays in hoodies. And that's exactly what those were. They were my lab abductions masquerading as alien abductions. So you have those guys, you have my lab people running around abducting people and making those people think they're aliens when they're actually human, very much human. And the way you can tell the difference on that one is that you can watch for clues with clothing. Like, for example, grays don't wear hoodies. In my abduction, my lab abductions, aliens don't wear combat boots. So when I see a combat boot kick me in the thigh, I know that's not an alien. That is a human. That's my lab. And, back onto the angelic, the angels are not going to be the charmers. They're not gonna, at least at this point. Now, at some point in the future, this will change. But right now, they're not gonna be the ones, like, you're not gonna see them perform miracles. They're not gonna they're not gonna fly in not right now anyway. They're not going to fly in performing miracles and, obvious miracles and being seen. And that's why they don't want to reveal who they are, especially to the Christians, who tend to get very nasty and ugly. It's kind of funny how they would want to come out to other people more than their own people, but that is the situation, is because the Christians have been so brainwashed to think that, they're right about everything and everybody else is wrong about everything, and that's certainly just not the truth. And it's not the truth because there's too many different groups and people here. There's too many different realities here. There's too many dimensions being crossed over and through right now for any one truth to be absolute, at least for very long at all. So, and then what else? You have aliens that are actually abducting people and pretending to be angels. So that's another one. And how do you know who they are? When aliens abduct you and pretend they are either good aliens, good guys, or if they pretend that, they're angels, the way you're going to know is because they may tell you, I'm not going to hurt you, and then they hurt you. So, they'll tell you they're there to help you, or, this is not, don't be afraid, nothing's going to hurt, or they may appear as angels or something, and then they, stab you with a great big needle in your stomach or something. So that's how you can tell those guys. I mean, there's always a tell. There's always a way to tell, who you're dealing with. The true angelics, they're not going to be real charming, maybe. They may be likable people, and they may be, funny or fun to hang out with sometimes, or whatever, but they're usually not the real popular people. People may like them or something, but they're not the popular people, usually. And that's, and they may seem uncomfortable in their own skin or something. They may appear to feel out of place, and that's because they do. Because they're not in their place. They are out of place. So they feel a little bit out of place, and that's usually noticeable. The real angels, at least the ones you will see right now, that you do see and don't even know, you're not going to recognize. And that's why the Bible even says, be careful, beware that you may entertain angels unaware. Well, how would you be entertaining an angel and not know it? Well, because they're not standing there in a white robe with wings and a halo. They're gonna look, what would an angel look like if you wouldn't recognize they were an angel? Well, pick somebody. Pick the least likely person that you know in your life to think is an angel. And you know what? I hate to tell you this. It could actually be. And I'm talking the most long shot bet person, the one that would just, it'd be impossible for that person to be an angel. They're rude, they're violent, they're ugly, maybe they're addicted to drugs, they drink, they're ugly sometimes, they're bitter, they're sick, they isolate. You know what I'm saying? Like, who would be the person that would be the most long shot bet in your life to be an angel? And I'm telling you, it's highly likely that they are, because I have run into some that shocked me that they were actually who they were. You talk about angels in disguise. Boy, you guys have more angels in disguise on this planet right now, and you don't even know it. So you better start being careful how you treat people. You really ought to, because I'm telling you, that book does not say that for no reason. It doesn't say, be careful that you may entertain angels unaware, for no reason. I mean, that is, you better take that one to heart, because I'm telling you, a lot of you are entertaining angels unaware, and you're treating them really ugly. And that's why they're not revealing themselves too. And it's not that anybody's going to punish you for that. It's that you will hold your own spiritual progress back with that. And because of that, you don't have to be afraid, really, well, I can't say that completely. Okay, yes, you don't have to be afraid of the angels, but I'm telling you that when you see them, they can send you into such a state of awe that it can be knee-buckling if you don't have your spiritual center right. And even if you do have your spiritual center right, your knees are still gonna buckle. It's just what happens. And that is exactly why the Bible talks about fear of God. It's not a fear in our traditional sense of the word. We don't need to fear God, and we don't need to fear the angels. So it's not like fear in the normal sense of the word fear. It's that you see something so incredible and so awesome, that so surreal and so shocking, that your knees just buckle, your heart drops to your knees, and they buckle. And it is a chill that runs through you, that feels very similar to a fear, but it's not a fear. It's an awesome awe. And that's what happens when angels reveal themselves to people. Even, and that's when they reveal themselves to the very clean. So, if the clean have that reaction, what do you think? How do you think the dirty react? So, and a lot of the Christians in the church have been kind of brainwashed and led astray, and so they have this very pious, self-righteous, I'm right and everybody else is wrong attitude, and prove it, and you better prove that you're not evil. Because it's happened to me. I've gone into, so I can certainly see how the angels feel this way, but I've gone into, like, Christian rooms on Facebook, and just sharing my natural gifts that I was born with, um, to comfort and aid people, using my gift as God would have one use their gift, right? Um, and I got called all kinds of names. That's why I said liar and deceiver. It actually happened to me. Um, I was called a liar and deceiver just for, displaying a few little gifts. And so I could understand how the angels would feel. And so in a period of time to come, it won't be too terribly long. It'll be a lot shorter than anybody thinks. They will reveal themselves and people will be able to see them. But right now, I don't know anybody that are, and the people who are saying they are, probably are not. So that's how you can tell. Angels aren't going to do things to prove themselves. Alien groups that are here may sometimes do little things to, kind of show who they are, but everything's real tensive right now, with all of them, and that's why even my voice and my, delivery of this message is very tensive, because that's kind of the vibe that's going on right now, is everything's very tensive. It's, it's a bit like, the hokey pokey, everybody's putting a right toe in and then a right toe out and a right toe in and shake it all about, so it's kind of dipping in a little bit, as the, awareness comes up, as people's awareness and their understanding and their, consciousness comes up, then the more that happens, the more these different groups will be coming out and will be being known, and the more people will be remembering things that are happening to them. And that's one of the reasons that I'm talking in these videos, is because maybe something that I say will help somebody to remember or realize some things that are going on with them. And there are people that there are many things going on with, like I shared in some of my other videos, that I am Mandela affected for almost my whole life. So I have that going on, and it has, intensified just like it has for everybody else. I'm being my lab abducted, alien testing, and this other group that I'm still not talking about, comes and messes with me sometimes. And that's a lot to deal with. And dealing with that in itself is difficult. But when you don't even know what's going on and that's happening to you, oh man, can it be like send people off the rails. Because they don't understand what's happening, and they just know that things aren't right. So as they start to get more conscious and have more memories and know what's going on, there'll be less confusion around it, and so less upset about it. They won't be as upset about it. So it's a little bit hard for some people because they may be dealing with different things. There's people that are dealing with things that, like, I've never had to deal with before. Somebody was talking just the other day about some programs that were going on that they were involved in. And while I could certainly understand what he was saying and have empathy for what he was going through, it's nothing I've gone through myself. So I don't know. I mean, I've heard people talk about, different things like Antarctica or, just different, the deep underground military bases or something like that. Or working, in the sciences with back engineering things or stuff like that, different programs like that. I've never been involved in any of that stuff, so I don't know how to really empathize, or not empathize, but to sort it out. I don't know how to sort that out fully for somebody. You know what I mean? Like, they have to assemble the data themselves and see when they're actually seeing what they're seeing and when they're not. Like, for example, if Bluebeard had said, I'm, being abducted by aliens, but he didn't mention the hoodie, well, then I would go with, okay, he's being abducted by aliens, but he's not. Aliens don't wear hoodies. Those weren't aliens. They were my labs pretending to be aliens, making you see aliens. So it can be really confusing to people, a lot of the stuff going on right now. But the fact that there's so much going on is an indicative clue to the point in the game at which we're at. They say always darkest before the dawn, or the storm is worse before it dies, or whatever. And that's kind of the place we're at right now with the Earth, the Mandela Effect, and all this stuff. Now, I don't know everything. I mean, I tell you that in every video. I'm hoping that these videos spark other people's memories so that they can join in the conversation and help all of us, understand more. But, I do know a few things, and so what I know I'll share, and I'll continue to learn from others, and some will learn from me, and we'll all do this thing together. But, it can be very confusing to people because there is so much going on, but that's good because it means this thing is about to be over. Right at the end of a battle is usually when, it's the last stand, right? That's kind of where we're at. We're at the last stand. And it's, it's the worst part of the war before the other side says we give and it's over, or, our side just takes over, and that's what's about to happen. So, even though it can be confusing and all of that, there's still just no reason to be afraid. It can be confusing, and it can be a little bit unnerving sometimes, but there is no real danger. And the more you step out of that fear and believe what I'm telling you, that there's nothing to fear, the more you will be able to see. Yes. The more your consciousness will rise, and the more you'll be able to see. So I'll share with you what I know, but I don't know everything, and guess what? Nobody does. And if they tell you they do, then they're either brainwashed or lying. One or the other, because this whole thing that's happening right now is kind of just like the military operates, in that there are some very compartmentalized things. And So it's need to know basis. And if you don't need to know, you're not gonna. That's just the way it is. I mean, so we all have our parts, even those of you listening to me right now. That's why I'm talking to you right now, because we all have our parts to play. And so, you know, there is no single savior. You know, and if somebody's making YouTubes telling you they did something to save the whole world or whatever, it's just not true. This person is has been brainwashed in some kind of my lab or some kind of other program. I do know this much. I do know that you know, the tables are turning. And that's kind of what you're seeing right now, why it looks the worst, because, you know, at that one moment, you know, it's like when somebody yanks the tablecloth out from under the table. At that one moment when it's sliding, everything is in the air and anything could happen until the tablecloth is completely clear and all the dishes drop back to right to where they were, right? That one half a millisecond in between when everything is in the air is when it is the most unstable. And we are coming into that time right now. We're in that time where, you know, the tablecloth has been pulled, but we haven't just dropped back down to the table yet. So we're in the air. Anything could happen. We don't know what's going on, but I'm telling you, I'm watching the trick from outside in slow-mo, and we're all going to hit the thing. You know what I mean? We're all going to land on the table upright. Everything's okay. It just feels very unstable. But it's not as unstable as it seems. Okay. So, who else do we have as far as good guys? We also have some off-planet groups that are Fae, which are fairy people, and same with the fairy people right now. The fays aren't coming out too much either, but the fays aren't usually as active in human things as the angelic groups are. And the fays might be a little more charming. They're little, I don't know, I guess the word that comes to mind for me is sprites. You know, little sprites. Because I don't want to use the word tricksters. You know, because tricksters, the word tricksters kind of has a bad connotation to it. And fays aren't really tricksters. They're more about fun mischief. Like, they're more about fun and mischief and just, you know, playfulness. They're more into animals. They, so you would find the Fae probably like working more with animals and stuff. They might even, do some little, you know, use the animals to do little trickster stuff to humans. Like, just playing with them. Not to be evil or hurt you or anything, but, just to make you laugh or play with you or get a reaction from you or see what you do. So that's who the Fae are and what they do. And, you know, you can tell when you're, you know, dealing with Fae because they might come around and then animals start acting weird, you know, reacting weird to them or doing funny stuff, you know. It just makes me laugh, the stuff they do. But yeah, you'll see animals totally, like, they have really good communication with animals, and you'll see animals totally react to these beings. Even at a distance, telepathically. Like, you could be on the phone with a fae and they communicate with your animal and you totally freak out because you see your animal react. You're like, what the? Like, they tell your animal to do something and the animal does it and you're like, what am I watching? So that's how you'll know those people, because the animals will react real different to them. But they're not going to come out and tell you either. And, you know, that's another thing. Some of these people don't even know that they are fae, or that they are angelic, or they are, you know, Arcturian or Lyrian or whatever, you know, wherever they came from. Some of them don't even know. And some of them do. Some of them have always known. Some of them, you know, have always known aspects of it, but not fully, like full memory. And that's one of the things I do, actually, is help people recover those memories, in a little process I do. It's, you know, just, questioning people, ask a couple questions, and they recover their memories about, you know, where they came from or what they're doing. And there's no, it's like no hocus pocus or hypnotism or anything like that. It's just like talking, like I'm talking to you right now. Like, I would just talk to you and ask questions, and then you remember. And so that's one of the things that I do, is sometimes I help people remember who they are so that they can get on with their missions. Because that's the thing, all of these people, whether they're the good guys or the bad guys, they're here on a mission. And so sometimes those missions collide and clash, you know, and so that's why there's a lot of confusion for everybody, because there's a lot going on. There's a lot of people here, there's a lot of factions, there's a lot of groups, and there's a lot going on. And then you have people waking up to the Mandela Effect right in the middle of all of it. It just like amps up the chaos. But that's okay, because like I said, it's that point that we're just in the air, but we're gonna stick the landing. I'm telling you, we are gonna stick the landing. And so there's nothing really to worry about, but it can just be a little, it can feel a little unsteady. And, that's for all of us, for everybody. You know, nobody is immune to that. You know, humans, angels, fays, aliens, Lyrians, all of them. It's the same for everybody right now, because we are so close to the end. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of give an overview of who's here, why they're here, and how to tell the difference. And I think I've given you enough data that you can tell some of these groups apart. Now, the reason I mention the bad guys is because right now there's a lot of people who don't have their memory, and they're under brainwashing and anesthesia and anesthetic and all kinds of other stuff. I mean, amnesia and anesthesia, and we're at a point where a lot is happening, and the more that people wake up and become aware and conscious of things, the more they can control and guide those things. And so, like I was talking about, those of us who've been inducted into forced labor programs, the more we realize that, and become aware of it consciously and resist it, the more their system breaks down and the less they're able to do the things that they're doing. Which brings me to another point of, like the whole subject of what is the Mandela Effect, and I've talked in a couple of my videos, is it CERN, is it this, is it that, is it artificial intelligence? Yes, there's certainly some of that going on this planet in all kinds of ways. There is AI being used on people. And it's kind of like the bad guys have AI and the good guys have natural telepathic communication. And in a lot of people, those gifts are increasing right now, and they're going to continue to increase too. The more people that become aware and awake, the more people become aware and awake. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a snowball thing. We've gotten it going, and the snowball is going, it's getting bigger and bigger, and so now the growth is like getting exponential as far as how many people are waking up. And the more that happens, the more that happens. So, that's kind of the way that's working right now, in that the more wake up, the more wake up. And the more each individual wakes up, the more they can control their own environment and what's happening to them. And the more memory they'll recover too. The more you wake up, the more memory you recover, the more you're able to be in control of your environment. And, it's like a confusion only happens when when all the factors are in motion, and you can't get your grip on any one of the factors. And what's happening now is people are starting to get a piece here and a piece there. And so that's why I'm putting out my videos. Not everybody will understand or resonate with what I'm saying, because they're not concerned with this area. They're not bothered in this area. They're not working in this area. They're not paying attention to this area. It doesn't matter to them, right? Just like I told you, I saw the guy, that was in some other programs. Well, I could understand and empathize with him, what his story was, but I'm not going through that, so I don't know, what that's, that's not my area. I'm not involved in that. It's just like, as far as my profession, if you want to talk about, natural health care, I can talk about that all day long, but if you want to get into a conversation about railroad engineering, I'm just not going to have very much to say. It's not that I don't want to or don't like you or whatever. I just don't have a lot of reality on railroad engineering. Don't know much about it, not involved in it, not my thing, don't know about it. So not everybody is gonna, resonate or be drawn to my message, because they don't care. Doesn't pertain to them. But for the ones that it pertains to, hopefully these things will help you, and you'll start to have more control in your area, because things that you have questioned yourself about, maybe, am I going nuts? Is this really true? Well, hopefully I say something in my video, or somebody else says something in their video, that confirms for you that you're not crazy. So that's why I'm putting these videos out. Hopefully it'll spark something in somebody that'll resonate with them. They'll have some tiny bit more thread, more of understanding, which will push them toward more understanding, and they can find more understanding somewhere down the road, either with me or with somebody else. And for those who think I'm totally crazy and full of it, you know, this just may not be something you're experiencing. There's, like I said, all kinds of groups, all kinds of different people here for all kinds of different things. And maybe the experiences you're going through are quite different. But even so, that doesn't mean that I can't understand it, and it doesn't mean that I can't help you have memories. Now, I don't, before anybody starts to think I'm selling anything, I don't do that for pay. I don't help people with their memories for pay. It's part of a ministry. And I'm not even set up for donations, so don't even go there. It's just something that I do. And if anybody needs some help recovering some memories, then you know, you can message me through my channel. You can private message me through YouTube, and you know, I'll be happy to help you do that. Because there are a lot of angels walking around that would be, number one, the last person you would expect to be an angel. And number two, they may not even know that they're an angel. Because all of them went through amnesia and anesthesia, and some of them even got shielded to kind of help further that process of kind of blocking them off a little bit, just to keep them hidden a little bit, is what that was about. But a lot of them won't even know. And if you are one, then you've probably been different your whole life, and you may have felt that you don't belong. The whole world may seem crazy and foreign to you, and things like that. There may even be some strange memories that you have, but you haven't been able to remember exactly who you are, where you're from, why you're here, what's going on. That's stuff I can help remember in private sessions. Just like I said, like just by talking to them like this, just asking questions. And the Fae, you know, Fae and Lyrian and those other groups too, same deal with them. They may not even know. They just may know they're good with animals, and animals respond to them, and it's kind of cool. And you know, they may be just like a happy-go-lucky person that's never really thought about religion much, or any kind of spiritual things, or otherworld things, or aliens, or Mandela, or any of this stuff. You know, a lot of these people will be unaware as of yet. And like I said, the ones that do know who they are not probably going to tell you. And it's because of the reactions of people, because of, you know, the ugliness and the vileness and the, you know, humans right now are just very quick to point fingers, judge, call names. They're very in the grips of the Piscean symbol of duality. And, you know, that's okay, because it's about to flip to, you know, an Aquarian age where we don't have that duality. But for right now, that's what I was talking about right toe in, right toe out, and how we're doing the hokey pokey with realities and with understanding and memories and everything right now. And but it's a very exciting time. There is a lot going on. It can be a little scary, but trust me, it's all good. So, even if, you know, the Mandela Effect is CERN, even if they're opening up, you know, black portals, and even if there are black-eyed children and aliens and reptilians and all of this stuff going on, it's still okay. Because most of this has been going on your whole lives anyway, you just weren't aware of it. So now you're aware of it. So don't freak out now. Like, now's not the time to freak out. You know, we're doing good. So anyway, I just wanted to share all that with you, and hopefully some of it will make some things make sense to you. You know, maybe you can recognize the bad guys, you know, if they're pretending to be angelic and they're, you know, hurting you or poking needles in you or something, then they're not, they're alien. Or, you know, if they're pretending to be aliens and they have combat boots and hoodies, no, they're human. And if they're pretending to be angels that are saving the world, they're not. They're probably, you know, my lab forced labor people. And they may be, you know, also off, you know, from somewhere else, you know, the being themselves. So it's interesting because you know, you do have a lot of groups, and they're, some of them pretending to be other groups, and so it gets kind of interesting sometimes. But the key thing is no fear, because the groups that are doing the bad things, like the MyLabs that are abducting people into forced labor and that kind of thing, and the aliens that are abducting people for testing, those groups, if you resist them, then you can resist them. You can have some control over your situation. The thing is, though, that we've never really resisted them. We've just been, like, so shocked by what they're doing to us or what's happening that, like, I guess we couldn't wrap our minds around it. And so we would be, like, more shock. And rather than, you know, wait a minute, you know, and, you know, bonk a guy in the nose or something. I don't know. But now we are, you know, a lot of people that are being abducted for those forced labor programs and stuff are starting to resist and just say, no, I'm not going to do it. And that's causing those guys some problems. It's you know, it's truly, it's forcing the programs to shut down right now is what's happening. So those programs are struggling right now, and they're going to be closing down real soon. Along with a lot of stuff that's going on in the governments behind the scenes. There's a lot of stuff like that going on there, too, that you're not seeing in the mainstream media, where those systems are actually coming down, and they're going to be going away. So there is a lot of good change happening right now, and we do have more control than we think. We just have to step out of the fear and not be controlled by it, and recognize who's who are the players, you know, and maybe something I've said will trigger memories for you. You know, a lot of people are even being abducted into forced labor and don't know it. And maybe they'll start to remember, and then they'll start to resist, and it'll make this thing break down even faster. You know, like I talked about exponential growth, the more of us that wake up, the more of us wake up, and the more of us that wake up, the more of us can resist the things that are happening to us against our will. So if some memories are triggered and you do realize that, you've been being taken, or you wake up with bruises or needle marks or anything like that has been going on, don't be afraid, because I'm going to tell you it's been going on for a long time. And the good thing is now you realize it. And the next thing is that you'll begin to resist it. And they just won't be able to continue to do that for very long. They just can't, keep that up. They can't keep coming and taking you when you're not cooperating with them. So the key is focus, remember, try to recognize who's who. If you think you see an alien and he's got on combat boots or a hoodie or some kind of weird thing, you see he's got a watch on or something like that, those are clues for you so you can wake up and you can resist whatever they're doing to you. And by the same token, if you're an angelic or a fae being and you're being abducted, or you don't have memory of who you are, but you have some strange sense of something, continue to look at it. Continue to focus on that, and those memories will come into focus for you. Of course, like I said, if you need or want my help, you can always contact me, and I'll be happy to help you as well. But you don't need me. You can do it on your own. You just got to keep looking. Just continue to look. Just keep looking. Whatever you have a sense of or an inkling of, keep pulling at it like a thread on a sweater, and eventually you will unravel that. So I hope I've given you enough data today to sort out at least a few of the groups and start to get an idea of how some of the groups are tricking us, how to tell some of them apart. I've discussed, a few of the bad ones and a few of the good ones, and, maybe if you want more information on this later, I'll do another video. You just gotta let me know. I've been kind of thinking about not doing the videos anymore, because I really haven't got that much feedback, so I'm not sure how much good it's doing, if I need to be maybe spending my efforts in some other kind of way that may be helpful. So yeah, I don't know. So anyway, if you do need some help, I'll be happy to help you. And hopefully this helps trigger some memories, and hopefully you'll communicate with me. Let me know in some comments. If you like the information, I'll keep making the videos, but I'm just not seeing that much interest in my messages or what I'm doing. So maybe I'm missing the mark. I don't know. So I don't know. If you guys want to hear some more, I will do some more. If it's helping you, I'll be happy to. And if it's not, maybe I'll find something else that'll be worthwhile and will help some people. So I don't know. Comment. Let me know. Is this helping you? Are you understanding anything better? Is it stirring any memories? Is it helping confirm, things that you were thinking or seeing or knowing? Because if my videos are doing any of that, I'll keep doing them. But that's for you to decide, I guess. So I hope you'll let me know. And I appreciate you listening to my ramblings. I'm still just not really comfortable with any of this, and so I appreciate your patience in dealing with my bad video making skills and my ramblings, because I don't write anything down. I just turn it on and start talking, and sometimes I try to clean it up a little bit at the end, but it's really not a comfortable thing for me to do, but I'm very happy and grateful to do it, if it helps some of you. So anyway, thanks for putting up with my ineptitude in all of this. And if you do want to see more videos, maybe I'll get more comfortable with it, and it won't be so painful for either one of us. How's that? Okay, so anyway, I think that's kind of all I wanted to go over tonight, is maybe just a rough outline of maybe who some of the players were, and how you could tell them apart, how you could tell, you know, maybe some things that might be going on with you or in your universe. So I hope some of that helps. And yeah, thanks. Thanks for coming. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sticking with it. And thanks for commenting, liking, subscribing, and sharing.